Will, has it sunk in yet? Has it sunk in what we witnessed last night from Jimmy Butler?
I don't think so. I've been all day thinking about just different aspects of the game, little runs, little plays that changed everything. Every time you think, okay, this is over. It's going back to Milwaukee 2-2. When we all thought it 100 times, Jimmy would make a play, whether it be a big defensive play or a rebound or obviously a shot and one. I mean, I've never seen anything like it, guys. I mean, we were all sitting there with our jaws dropped, and the fans were just getting into it so much. But at the same time thinking, what in the heck are we watching? That run where it went from down 13 to the dunk and up one was maybe the most electric I'd ever seen that arena. I mean, I know that there are finals games, and obviously Ray Allen shot and all the history, but just in the sense of shock and electricity over the span of 10 minutes, I've never seen anything like it.
And Will, when I was watching the game, man, and the fourth quarter came around, like you're talking about, when that run started, it seemed to me like that Jimmy set that up almost. He dropped 22 in the first quarter, then he kind of got quiet, and they stayed within 10 to 15. And then at one point, Jimmy said, hey, watch this, guys. I did it. I can do it again. Was that strategic? Because they already said, I heard the reports Jimmy had to have an IV. He couldn't do it for 4 quarters, but he picked his places.
He had to. I mean, I think it comes down to that, Jenny, right? Like Jimmy, at the level he started and the level he finished, right? If he did that for 42, 43 minutes, I'm not sure even as great of a player and athlete as he is, that it's sustainable. So I think Jimmy knew that, okay, I scored 22 in the first quarter, right? Second quarter, I got to pick my spots. I think he went 0 for 3 in the second quarter. He didn't take many shots, didn't make many shots, but he was trying to do other things and hopefully get other guys going. I think Jimmy also figured out, look, man, I can't do this alone. He ended up almost doing it alone, but luckily the defense late, and then obviously some big shots from Caleb as well. But I do think Jimmy's smart as he goes along. He recognizes moments he's needed, and obviously the start to set the tone and the finish to close are the two most important.
So, Lana, there's your headline for the podcast and the website, right? Will Manso, Jimmy Butler stunk in the second quarter. You got to get clicks somehow nowadays. You got to get clicks. How are they up 3-1? Will, is it because of Jimmy? Is it because Giannis missed 2 games and maybe just petered out at the end? Like, they've got the number 1 seed on the brink of elimination in the first round. How did we get here?
I think the 2 things you just said are obvious, right? Jimmy's Jimmy. He's been phenomenal. He's been the best player in these playoffs the way he's playing right now. Having Giannis out for 2 games and a half, I mean, let's face it, you can't sugarcoat that. You can't just say like, oh, whatever, that happens to everybody. We love Tyler. It's fine. No, Giannis, not having him is obviously been an impact in this series. But I think the one thing we haven't talked about, how about the fact that the Heat have shot 40% plus in all 4 games from 3-point land? And we spent 84 games right through the 2 playing games on this show. The times have come on. We all said the same thing. Hey, when are the Heat going to start shooting threes? Number 1 team in threes last year, 27th in the league this year. We saw it trending in the right direction after the All-Star break, but even then it was middle of the pack trending. They have been over 40% 4 straight games, 2 of the games 50%. To me, that's what we were waiting for. You knew you had Jimmy. You knew you could have defense at times, really step up and change the game. But you didn't know you could finally get 3-point shooting. And the way the Bucks play, the way they score with ease, the way they were working the inside game, if the Heat don't shoot threes the way they have, they're not up 3-1.
And I don't want to find negatives, Will, but Hawk talked about your post game, and I was watching you talk to Bam Adebayo, and he was real quick with his answers, and I was expecting that because, Will, it's the first time I was watching a game, and it seemed like Bam felt out of place to me with what he does. Why does Bam struggle so much? He struggled in the series, but why did he struggle so much last night?
Well, I'll tell you what. One thing is Bam's always exhausted at the end of games. He's getting to the point where he's just so exhausted he barely has much to say. And yesterday, I think just in that spot, in that moment, it was pretty much almost impossible to talk to anyone but Jimmy, right? Like Jimmy's the guy everybody wants to hear from. Jimmy's off doing the national interview though, so Bam comes over and he's just like, "Look, Jimmy's been great. We're just riding that guy." And I think to his credit, he did play better in the second quarter, but we can't sit here and sugarcoat it and say he was good. Bam struggled. I mean, Bam has struggled all series. You got length. Obviously, the Bucks is an issue. Brook Lopez is a unique player. As he's aged, he's somehow gotten better. He's a deterrent, obviously, at the rim. He's obviously got an incredible offensive game. What did he have, 36, 37? I forgot what the heck Lopez had last night. It got lost with the Jimmy game. But I think Bam right now is caught in the spot. You know what's funny, too, guys, with Bam? He's most comfortable, right, is that soft little mid-range, right? And the Bucks are giving him that space. And I think Bam's been caught in the middle, like indecisive. Like, do I go in and attack because of the space, or do I take the jumper? And he's almost taking every shot out of rhythm. Like, he's taking a jumper and thinking, maybe I should have, driven to the basket. He's driving to the basket thinking, well, maybe I had the jumper. It's like he's getting caught in the middle thinking too much, and it's really impacting his offensive game. I liked in the second half he was more aggressive, though the shots weren't necessarily always falling. But I really think, look, if he get by this series, that would be great. Just win one more. But if they want to keep going, Jimmy can't score 56 a game. I mean, they need Bam to be 20 and 10 Bam, not limping his way to 15 and 8 Bam.
On the positive side, Duncan has been phenomenal. When you talk about the threes that were missing during the regular season, now all of a sudden they're hitting them. Duncan has been phenomenal. And I have to say, I think you and I were texting Caleb Martin last night in the fourth quarter. Now, I was watching him closely because I bet the over. I had Caleb Martin over 9.5 points. And 9.5, and it didn't look like he was going to hit it. I think he may have scored all 12 in the fourth quarter.
He did.
Yeah, he scored all 12 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, in the fourth quarter. Really,
and then he had, I think he had 7, and then he hit a shot, which I thought was a 3, and I thought it put him over, and I started celebrating on a bunch of different text threads, and then I found out it was a 2. But then he came back, and he hit another 3 right after.
Yeah. He's just, look, Caleb is maybe the most underrated player on the Heat. When he's on the floor, he makes an impact in every way. Defensively, offensively, most of the season, he was the top 3-point shooter on the team. I mean, he was shooting in the high 30s for a while, kind of leveled off a bit, but still, his best season from 3, the way he was stroking it with confidence, the way he shot it last night. He doesn't need high volume. He doesn't have to go out there and take 10, 15 shots, but man, he's going to find the right shots. He's aggressive to the basket. He's a menace defensively. Caleb was so impactful last night, and you watched the whole game thinking, please, someone help Jimmy. Well, finally, it was Caleb who really did it. You referenced Duncan. Look, Duncan in that second quarter got going, hit some threes. It was great to see. Late, they didn't need it as much. He did hit a couple in the second half, some shots, but Caleb in that fourth hit the shots to kind of take the pressure off Jimmy and get Miami back in that game during that crazy run. And it's one of those things. They need guys like that. Max and Gabe that didn't play well. It may be Max and Gabe that help close out this series. So they need someone, a duo, a combo to help Jimmy. And each night it's kind of been a different one.
Death taxes Caleb Martin's toes on the line when shooting a three-pointer.
Lead the league, man. Lead the league in almost threes.
Incredible. Will,
it's such a great point.
It's incredible. It truly is incredible. Will, everybody's kind of been talking about this performance from Jimmy.
Like if he was really dedicated, he's got to have half his toes amputated, right? Because he's right there.
That's what. By the way, that's what the over-under was 9.5 because they can't figure out who's just jump on the line.
It should be 9.5 toes. Take off a toe. Take off the big toe. Caleb.
By the way, if you look closely, he always checks his feet, but he's still always on the line. It's like the most remarkable thing ever.
He needs LASIK and a toe removal. He needs some medical issues.
Will, I was talking with Tommy Tighe about this yesterday in the postgame show. Where does this rank individual playoff performances in Miami Heat history? I mean, LeBron, Game 6 in Boston, 45 points. Dwayne Wade, Game 3, 06 finals, down 11, and he takes over. Like, where does this rank? I know it's a first round. I know it's only a Game 4. It has to be in the top 5 at least, right?
To me, it's the top 3. To me, it's the 2 you just mentioned. And I was lucky enough to be at both, and I remember both vividly. The LeBron one especially because what was on the line. They were going to be eliminated, and questions on the future of the Big 3 were going to be going on all offseason. It could have changed the course of Heat history if the Heat don't win that game, and Big 3 history and everything that happened. So LeBron, as far as importance and dominance from the start, LeBron quieted that Boston crowd in a heartbeat. Led from start to finish, won by, I think, 16, 17 points, and had an incredible performance. D. Wade was a comeback at home, potential to go down 3-0 in the finals. That series is over, turns things around. They win the finals, their first championship. So again, the impact of that. But from an individual standpoint, a player scoring 56, and basically, look, let's admit it, we know it. He carried the team. He was the reason they won in every which way. He carried the team. There was no second option. There were no other guys that all game long were helping out. It was all Jimmy. So from an individual perspective, 56 points in that setting to do what he did, I've never seen anything like it. To me, it's the best individual performance in his Heat history, especially being in the playoffs. And especially, too, one last thing. How about the Jimmy defense? Jimmy's playing defense like a menace. He's grabbing rebounds. The way he scores, he's not a pure shooter. He's not shooting 30 feet out from the basket. He's driving. He's getting contact. To have that kind of game, to me, that's number one on the list as far as just individual performance.
I said it earlier, to have a performance, a singular performance in a round one game that knocks Aaron Rodgers being traded to the largest media market in the country off the front story. It's a performance so spectacular. It didn't close out a series. It wasn't to go to the finals. It was a first round game 4 performance that was so staggeringly good. Yeah. We don't even talk about Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, it's wild. That's why to me it's number one on the list. Now again, importance, Wade and LeBron, those two games are hard to top based on. And look, Jimmy had triple doubles in the finals. They ended up losing, but he was phenomenal in keeping the Heat alive in the bubble finals. But that game last night, I'd never ever witnessed anything like that.
Will Manso, Local 10. You watch him on Local 10. Again, Bally Sports Sun will have round 1, and you watch tomorrow night, 9:30 tip-off. 9:30.
Get ready for a late night. Hopefully,
I'll tell you what, though, for us Panthers fans, it's perfect because you get the 7 o'clock Panthers game, the 9:30 Heat game. It's such a great doubleheader tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to it, but I don't have to work it like you do. Yeah, I can't wait.
I cannot wait.
I
hope I'm not back. I do not want to be at the arena Friday night. I want this thing to close out, and let's get ready for
Would that be amazing if they close it out tomorrow night? If the Panthers can stave off elimination and the Heat can eliminate the 1-ranked Milwaukee Bucks, that would be an unbelievable Wednesday.
All right, make it happen.
See you, Will.
All right, guys. Talk soon.